I'm Greg Shapiro, and let's queer up the USA View. More than 25% of LGBTQ people say Pride Month feels exclusionary, new survey finds. A new survey from dating app Taimi suggests many LGBTQ plus people feel disconnected from Pride Month celebrations, despite June being widely recognized as a time of queer visibility and community celebration. The research surveyed 1,100 queer adults and found that less than 60% felt at least somewhat represented by Pride Month. Some said they had never felt represented. Others said they were not represented very well, and nearly 10% said they were not represented at all. The survey also found concerns about inclusion within mainstream Pride events. 25% of respondents said LGBTQ people of color and trans and non-binary people were underrepresented or excluded. More said bisexual and pansexual people were underrepresented, while nearly 30% felt that queer people living outside major cities were excluded. Respondents also expressed skepticism toward corporate pride campaigns. Less than a quarter of respondents said they felt suspicious of brands participating in Pride Month marketing, while about 20% described those efforts as performative. Some even said they actively avoid such brands. 4 in 10 respondents said they feel pressure to perform during Pride celebrations in ways that do not reflect how they truly feel. One respondent said, quote, "It feels like I'm a performing monkey in a circus," end quote. Another said, quote, "I feel pressure from allies to be more stereotypically gay during Pride Month," end quote. The survey also found that 10% avoid public LGBTQ spaces during Pride because of the current political climate. The full survey results are available through Taimi, that's Taimi. Oy, so many percents. So many percents.
I'm not good with numbers.
But let's hope that a sizable percentage of Pride celebration organizers, see what I did there? I hope they're tuning into this broadcast and that they take this abundant information to heart and find a way to make necessary changes. Make everybody welcome, because Pride is for everyone.
So my thing, as I was hearing what you were saying and I heard about this, is that I feel that this really represents a larger problem that we're having in society about the epidemic of loneliness. I think that this is an offshoot or just we're boiling it down. People don't feel as though they're represented because they're lonely. And my question then becomes, what could they possibly do better that would make these people feel included? I'm not saying that these people are wrong for feeling the way that they feel. If you've got your feelings, Larry, you got your feelings. I understand that. My question then becomes, so now what?
Well, I actually completely disagree, to be honest.
Okay.
The first time I ever got published in The Advocate was specifically warning about Pride was headed in this alienating direction. So this is just exactly what I've been saying was going to happen for years.
Tell us more.
When Pride, they're more focused on looking very corporate sponsored. It just doesn't feel genuine, And I guess, listen, I've worked at offices with mostly straight people, and it's nice when they do a little gay thing for us for Pride.
Like a little dance?
Yeah. But some of this corporate sponsorship gets very performative. I remember it was Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. They had a Pride, and you know how some Pride are presented by some company. Presented by a fracking company one year. I'm like, what is
fracking? The entire Pride?
Yeah, so it was like random fracking company presents Pride, and I'm like, what is this? But so to me, that lack of genuineness is really important. I think that's what some of this is. Also, some of it's like if Pride's just a bunch of white men with six packs, a lot of people aren't going to feel included in that either.
Well, I mean, the thing is you have the balance of Pride being a protest movement to start with, and then but the other thing is there's practicalities of it. You can't throw a parade without money. And right now, there are a lot of, for example, right here in Florida, they are now trying to ban any kind of municipal participation of any kind of Pride festivities. And in return, Ron DeSantis want to punish you by basically take away your municipal duties or even remove entire city councils just to impose his own will. yes, so as distasteful as it might be, sometimes we turn to corporations for the dollars that we need to maintain security, to set up the booths, to clear the streets.
not cheap.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. And we can criticize Stonewall Pride, which is about to take place this month, for, having to charge a certain amount, but having security, having snipers on the roof so that there's so that we don't see so that we don't get a shooter in our midst is one of those things that we have to factor in. I know Alex is chomping at the bit to disagree with me.
Not equal that. We'll stop.
I know Alex is chomping at the bits to disagree with me, and I don't disagree with him.
I'm not going to go into that. I will say the Pride protest part, I think, is a bigger problem because, why is Pride not a protest anymore? It's to declaw our political power.
Well,
it's trying to make us not a threat to the people.
Well, to complement what you're saying, I'm originally from New Jersey suburbs outside of New York, and I was just following up on social media, and some of the people I was an activist with are having a protest march instead of a parade in Asbury Park, which is a big gay community. So that made me feel good. Talking about alienation, I think one of the things that I had as a takeaway, SAGE was a very big senior organization, not only in Manhattan, but in the New Jersey suburbs where they had there were parades at the time, but that, people who maybe aren't as able-bodied could get on a van and still be part of the celebration on a float or on a trolley. In New York, they had these, buses that looked like trolleys. So, I think it may be shifting back without the corporate sponsorship to have protest marches, peaceful ones, but to assert ourselves. And certainly they're more economical than having big floats.
But when you also think about the makeup of Wilton Manors, for example.
Yes.
And SAGE,
Yes.
there is a very broad spectrum of age represented at this parade. Body types, everything is represented.
Everything.
So I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily they are being represented here, but it might not be the case in other cities.
Absolutely. And my biggest worry, I have to say, if I had a worry, is I always go to the Pride parades, Pride celebrations, but I do worry about security. We do live in an age where, and especially in a place like Florida where we have open carry laws and we have concealed carry laws and we have, you turn 18, you can have a gun law. It's, I think even maybe less, I don't know. I don't get into it too much, but all I know is that we make a big target for ourselves when we have these wonderful celebrations, or I know Alex is saying that we need to have more protest. It needs to be more in the flavor of a protest. But any large conglomeration of the gays and the queers and the non-conforming people in a public space, I think invites the crazies. Yeah. There are always crazies that circle these events. I've seen them with their signs. And I have to say, it doesn't prevent me from going out and living my best gay life. But I do think twice about my safety.
No, I've covered events that were not Pride; they were protest events. Where in New England, there'd be the Nazi group that wanted to attack the drag story and stuff, and all these LGBTQ people came. The police didn't protect them. The John Brown Gun Club protected them. A left-wing militia group, which is trained
who?
The LGBTQ protesters.
Thank you, John Brown group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I look at it, and that just was an interesting thing, because, we don't always need to rely on the police, because sometimes the police aren't going to protect you. Sometimes you're viewed as a threat if it's a political event, but, there are many different de-escalation and defensive strategies you can take, but, normally I wouldn't overly worry about that. We're probably not watch I say that, and God knows.
Don't.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Okay. Well, does anybody have anything else they'd like to add to this? I think this was very robust, and I would like to say there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBT stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.